Welcome back. Today, a podcast style episode with Srinidhi, who a while back made some waves in the Facebook group for declaring that he reversed his minus 1.5 diopter myopia in record time. And there was a ton of comments and there was some animosity, which is kind of unusual for our group, which is all about improving eyesight. So I asked him to be on this podcast and go through the details of his own reversing his myopia. He also has a fair bit of astigmatism to deal with. Interesting story. Hope you enjoy this episode.
Hey guys, I'm Srinidhi and I originally am from India. And I started off Endmyopia at about minus 1.5 spherical and about both eyes, and about say minus 1.25, 1.5 cylindrical in both the eyes. And now currently I'm down to no spherical correction and about minus 1 cylindrical in both my eyes.
And are you currently, you're not wearing any glasses. So how is that going
Yeah.
with no cylinder correction?
So it's all fine. So close-up vision is I can say it's pretty good. Although so it's a bit different. I mean, as since I have cylindrical, I don't really I think understand it very well. But so I have the same power in both my eyes. So my left is cylindrical -1, and my right is also cylindrical -1, but they're at different axes. So for close-up vision with my left eye, it's pretty comfortable. I can see things very clearly. But with my right eye, it gets a bit blurry even for close-up vision. Close-up in the sense if I have to see my computer, it's still a bit blurry, but I can kind of try to use active focus to clear things up.
Do you opt to not wear glasses at all then, or do you sometimes wear something for cylinder correction, or how do you manage that?
So what I generally do is I, uh, I generally don't use it when I'm using my computer for close-up vision, and I try to use active focus with my right eye to kind of push it a bit more forward and try to reduce my cylindrical correction a bit more. But say when I'm playing a sport like badminton, or maybe when I'm driving, I tend to use some kind of correction. Uh, I use full correction for my right eye, which is -1, but for my left eye, I keep it a bit lower, maybe at 0.5 cylindrical, something around that.
And no spherical correction, yeah?
No spherical correction at all, yeah.
So, and I remember because you got some people were giving you a hard time in the Facebook group back when you posted that originally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny because you did pretty well with reducing the spherical. Can you talk a little bit more about that, how that whole spherical reduction went for you?
Yeah, so actually let me tell you my story since how I became myopic and then how I reduced. So so the first thing was I initially say up to till my age of so I'm currently 23, and till the age of about 15, till the age of about 17 I didn't have any lenses at all, and till about the age of 15 I used to balance my studies, go out to play, go outdoors and do things like that. So I always had distance vision as well as close-up vision, so my eyes were kind of regularly exercised, so I never really needed glasses in the first place. But then from the age of 15 to 17, in India there are very good engineering colleges. So I'm a software engineer right now, so I wanted to get into the top engineering colleges in India, and for that the entrance exams are really hard, and you I had to study about 10 to 12 hours every day for 2 years straight. So that was from my age of 15 to 17. I had to study for like 10, 12 hours every day. And then, yeah, I was able to clear the exam, and I got into one of the good colleges. But then during the admission process, they asked me to get a full body checkup. And that's when my eyes were tested, and I got to know that I was myopic. And that day, it was like everything was so, I don't know, it was so confusing for me because I never really expected that I would be wearing glasses at such a young age. And it was really shocking for me at that point of time. But then, so, but I then had to just accept it that I couldn't see far objects. And then, so I got my first correction in 2014, and that was around about, I could say, -1 diopter spherical, and it also had a cylindrical correction, interestingly, and that was about -0.5, -0.75 cylindrical in both my eyes. So at that point of time, I didn't really know what those numbers meant, uh, although technically I did, because I had studied about those numbers over those 2 years. So in to crack the engineering exam, I had to study physics, chemistry, and maths. And the physics component, interestingly, had things about the eye and how lenses are made and how the power of the lens is determined and things like that. So I knew what it was, but then when my prescription was given, I didn't really know what to do. I just went to a person who makes lenses, just showed him the prescription, and he gave me those lenses. And yeah, I could see things perfectly clear. And uh, again, at that point, I was thinking, why why wasn't I able to see things so clear in my life? Like it was again a surprise because I think over the 2 years when I was studying hard, my eyesight was gradually weakening. So uh, from one day to another, I wouldn't see a real change in the way things were clear or blur. But then when I wore those glasses, at that moment, everything became super sharp and clear, and it was very surprising for me. And so I just thought, okay, yeah, so I need lenses all my life now. So let me just go ahead and just use them whenever I, from morning to night. And yeah, so this went on for about 2 years, I guess, and about in early 2017, or I would say around December 2016, I kind of felt that those lenses were giving me a blurry vision again for distance vision. So I thought, okay, my eyesight has worsened again. And I got a test in January 2017, and yes, my power had increased. So I didn't know what to do. So again, I got new lenses made, and then when I wear the new lenses, again everything becomes super sharp, and you know, it's like you're seeing the world with new eyes. It's something like that. And uh, it's again a bit surprising that it feels uncomfortable at first, but then you get used to it. It's something like that. It's not like it's even though you see it super sharp, you still feel a bit uncomfortable with it. And then so again, I just thought, okay, fine. And then the optometrist told me that things like this is natural. Your power will keep increasing, something like that. And oh yeah, actually, since I was doing engineering, I had to again uh, do well, and I'm actually a computer science engineer. So I spend most of the time in front of a laptop or a computer. And all the time over the 2.5 years I'm talking about, that was from 2014 to 2017, it was, I used to use my full prescription to even look at my laptop, which would be very close to me. And yeah, that was actually a major factor why my eyesight was worsening. And then what happened is, again, by the end of 2017, I felt that the lenses I had got in January 2017 were no longer powerful enough, and I needed more powerful lenses. And that's when I decided, you know, how long will I go on with this? Like, how long will I keep increasing my power? And in early 2018, I came across Endmyopia. And after that, it's been really, really a good experience. And, in 2 years, I've entirely eliminated my spherical correction, and my cylindrical correction has gone very low. So just to be precise, in January 2017, my prescription was spherical minus 1.5 in both eyes, and cylindrical was around the same, about minus 1.25 to minus 1.5 in both eyes. And so what I did was, from January 2018 to about June 2018, all I did was going through the Endmyopia site and uh, you know trying to understand the concepts behind it and what exactly it is. And I think I read a paper, I'm not sure, but it was about hens wearing minus lenses on their eyes, and they become myopic after a few months. I don't know if you remember about it, but it was very interesting to read that experiment. And after that, so what happened was, by around June mid 2018, I kind of had a hang of about the Endmyopia method. So why it interested me a lot was, I had learned these concepts in my physics classes around in my 11th and 12th standards. So things like, we used to have questions like, a person can see only up to 25 centimeter, then what would his power be? And that would be 4 diopters. That would, yes, there was a way to calculate it, and there was a complicated formula, and then you had to calculate it. And then that's when and when you talked about using differentials for close-up work, I realized that I immediately plugged those values into my formula that I knew, and then it all made sense, because you don't really need full power lenses to look at your computer or your phone screen. You just need enough power that's enough to see that far. And it so for example, up for 50 centimeters of distance, you can easily reduce the power by 2 diopters. And it all made sense with that formula, and I was super happy when I found this method. So and it was like, I was I was very happy. I can't explain that, actually. I was that happy. And then I started using differentials for my close-up work around June 2018. And in August 2018, I had another eye test. And during that, I found that within 2 months, my power had reduced from minus 1.5 to minus 1.25. And that was my correction back in 2014. So it just took me 2 months to reduce what had increased in about 2.5 years. And that progress motivated me a lot. And the main reason, I think, is, so there is a lot of uh, questions. There are a lot of questions around, does this method really work, and things like that. But I think for people at who are younger, the eye is still in a growing stage. That's what I feel. And then it's easier for a younger eye to make adjustments and respond to the stimulus you're providing it. So for me, it took about 2 months to reduce 0.25 diopters very easily. But maybe for someone who is a bit more older, it would take, say, 3-4 months. but trust me, it will pay off in the end, and then it's just a matter of time, and then you'll be at zero within, say, a few years. And so continuing my journey, in August 2018, I decided to reduce my prescription further, and then I kept on, using differentials for close-up work, and for far vision, I used to use my normalized, a bit slightly less power than 1.25, maybe about 1 diopter around. And in about October 2018, I moved to Vancouver from India, and so I had to get my license in Canada. So that's when I had to give my eye test again, and I asked them if I could try without using my lenses. So here it's 2040 for 2040 vision for driving, and I had gone early in the morning because I know my vision would be pretty good in the morning. So this was in January 2019. So I gave the vision test and I passed without my lenses, and that was a very happy moment for me because I didn't have a restriction on my license that said I need lenses to drive. So I could technically drive without lenses, although I preferred not to, but it's always good to not have a restriction on your license. And so after that, I kind of became a bit overconfident, I would say, and I stopped using lenses at all. So even for far vision, I stopped using lenses, and for near vision, of course, I stopped using lenses altogether. And uh, so what happened was I just continued, and I used to use lenses only while driving. So over and about in August 2019, I got my eye test done again, and the optometrist told me that I didn't have any spherical correction, but I had huge cylindrical correction. So my right eye had about -2 in cylindrical correction. And that's when I realized a very important point. The thing is, lenses are used like crutches. You tell this all the time, but then uh, it's a bit different when you do it. When you realize it, it's totally different because uh, so so I realized the importance of lenses to improve your vision. If you just decide that you're going to live your life in blur, it's kind of like the Bates method. You're not going anywhere with it. But if you provide enough stimulus to your eyes to push your eyes a bit more forward, just like you do at the gym, uh, if you want better muscles, stronger muscles, you push yourself a bit more harder and do more exercise, and then you get stronger muscles. But then this is the same for your eyes. You need to push it a bit more harder. But so let's say someone can lift about 50 kgs. If you lift 55 kgs the next day and continue this for, say, about a month, you will be easily able to handle 55 kgs after a month. But the same thing, if you're able to lift 50 kgs and then the next day you decide to lift 100 kgs, you're going to screw your muscles really hard, and you'll stop going to the gym ever after. So so the importance of lenses is that it provides you a way to push yourself a little bit, and those small increments lead to the overall result of 2020. And so the use of lenses is important, but not in a way that it inhibits the stimulus, but in a way that it gives you the stimulus that you need. And so I realized that in August 2019, and after that I started using again normalized and differentials just for my cylindrical correction. And I got my eye test about 2 weeks back again, and I found out that I had -1 in both my eyes, -1 cylindrical in both my eyes, and no spherical correction needed. And that's my whole journey from getting myopia to back to almost back to 2020. So back about a few days back, I think till with a spectacle of minus zero point 0.5 diopters, I was able to use active focus to read the 2020 line on the eye chart. So that felt really, really good. And I really hope that I can get back to 2020. I don't think it's a challenge anymore. I think it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, you've done a great job. And I still remember because it was funny when I check through the Facebook group every morning just to make sure everything's cool. And when your thread came up and so many people were like, there's a certain amount of, I don't know if it's envy or jealousy or just disbelief when you're like, oh, I got rid of all of them. I figured we'd have to have a little chat about that because especially with your background, especially with an engineering background, especially since you're a super analytical guy, this isn't one of those things where unicorn farming, somebody just takes off their glasses and pretends they can see. Like you actually went through this journey and you definitely had some challenges along the way.
Yeah.
Sweet. I really appreciate you coming on. That's super awesome. I think, as I always say in these episodes, it's super important to hear these individual experiences, and I appreciate that you're taking the time.
So yesterday there was one of my friends was just casually mentioning, so we get some benefits from our employer, and like things like you can use some amount of some money to get your LASIK done, or things like that. And someone was like, so he was like, okay, I should get a LASIK done right away because I have so much money to spend as part of my insurance. And I immediately told him, no, you shouldn't do LASIK. You should try out this Endmyopia method. And that happened just yesterday. And so he told me to send him the link of Endmyopia, and I sent him the link. And he told me today that he initially thought it was a scam. You can't get rid of your glasses so easily. And then he also has a similar background to me, and he went through all the resources, and he told me that he really liked the method and he felt it all made sense, just like how I thought about it about 2 years back. And then so I think he's going to follow the method, and at least I'm going to try to help him with the method. But I do try to propagate this method to people who have lenses and want to get rid of their glasses at least.
Yeah, it's you have to care in the first place. I've noticed that unless somebody already has a reason to do it, people are generally not that interested. There definitely has to be that, right? Like, I wish there was a better answer.
Yeah.
That's cool. Lucky for your friend, because LASIK definitely is only another short-term fix in most cases.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you get your LASIK done and you look at screens all day, and then you're again progressing in the myopic line.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Awesome. Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate that you came on. All right. What do you think? What do you think? That's interesting details, commonalities in these stories that happen with overconfidence, which usually happens somewhere during the beginning, but in this case, his own experience, the astigmatism experience, not needing glasses as far as his driver's license is concerned. These are all things that are worth implementing for yourself if you're also working on improving your eyesight. And if you're not, then you should think about it. That's it for this episode. I have lots more planned if I manage to get myself to talk to people. We're also going to do this in real podcast format soon, hopefully. Subscribe if you haven't. I will let you know when the actual podcasty bits are also available. And I'll see you in the next one. Meow, 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 meow.